In a little bit over a month from now, which is February, the final episode of Arrow ever is being released. It's the series finale, and Arrow is officially coming to an end, which is a pretty big deal. Without Arrow, this channel would definitely not exist at all, and also, it's been the show that I'm guessing I've been keeping up with for the longest since it started. Although, I didn't really start watching it until, near season 2, when those episodes were airing, but still, that's a very long time. That's 7 years now that I've been keeping up with this show, so it is a pretty big deal that Arrow is now ending. But with certain other shows that have ended with a bad series finale or a bad ending to the series, which actually does happen in a lot of TV shows and even sagas, it's just sticking the landing is very, very difficult. I want to go over a couple things that I think they should do in this series finale so that it could be a good ending to Arrow. I will say that for Arrow specifically, I'm not really worried about this ending being bad because Arrow Season 8, the first 7 episodes specifically, have been really great, so all they have to do is make one more great episode and just continue the general concept of the first 7 episodes, which is that Arrow is ending, and I think they're going to do a good job. Still though, there are a lot of things I want to see, so in this video, I'll go over the top 5 things that we should see in the Arrow series finale. If there are a couple things I forgot or a couple things that I didn't mention, then let me know in the comments down below what you specifically would want to see in the series finale. With that in mind, let's begin with number 5. Number 5 has to do with Roy Harper, a character who has certainly not been used to his full potential on the show. The fact that he was only a series regular in, I think it was 3 out of the 8 seasons of Arrow, certainly is not a great sign. He's one of the main characters in the Green Arrow mythos, and while he doesn't have to stick around for the entire time, since sidekicks typically do leave and join the Teen Titans or become their own hero, it still would have been cooler to see more of Roy Harper. With that being said, I still think that Roy Harper, since he's been around now for ever since Season 7, he should have a more definitive ending than what we got in Season 8 already, which is that he lost his arm. I think that while he probably will appear in Green Arrow and the Canaries, in Arrow specifically in the series finale, Roy Harper should have a definitive ending, not to his character, but I guess his character arc on Arrow, and just make it look more, I don't know, lighthearted than him losing his arm, and that's the end of it. I don't know, I don't want that to be his final scenes ever on Arrow, and while he will get more in the series finale, this is specifically what I want it to be. I think Roy Harper should get a robotic arm, maybe from Ray Palmer, maybe from somebody who knows how to make those things, that completes his Arsenal design, completes his comic book counterpart, but also it's just a happier ending than here, which is that he lost his arm, and then he has some scenes in the series finale, so this could potentially lead into Green Arrow and the Canaries where he has a robotic arm, but I do think that's something that they should show in the series finale of Arrow. Number 4 has to do with John Diggle, potentially John Stewart if the Crisis has as big an impact on certain characters as the original Crisis did in the comics, then maybe his name is going to be John Stewart after this Crisis event and not John Diggle. Either way, I'm going to call him Diggle now because that's what we call him. I mean, it'd be weird kind of to call him John Stewart or Stewart, whatever. I think that one thing that they need to do is, like Roy, give him a definitive ending. Like, he could potentially be appearing in Green Arrow and the Canaries, but unlike Roy, I don't think that he would fit as well, especially with what he's becoming now. Now, David Ramsey said that he got the ending he would have wanted for the character, which honestly kind of either confirms or at least it definitely makes it more possible that he is becoming the Green Lantern, because David Ramsey, I think, has been very excited for the prospect of his character becoming a Green Lantern. I know the audience has been excited. I've been excited just to see Diggle become Green Lantern and become more like John Stewart in the comics. It's just so interesting, and ever since they brought that up in Elseworlds, I think Diggle has become a much more interesting character because of that build-up. But with all that build-up, and we might see it in the Crisis, we might not, and if we do, it'll be right at the end, and it'll be only a little bit. In Arrow itself, in the series finale, which David Ramsey said he got the ending he wanted, we should see a definitive ending for John Diggle, and that could potentially be showing him as Green Lantern for a little bit. Maybe he flies off to space to join the Green Lantern Corps. We can potentially never see him again after that, maybe only in crossover events or something, but I do think that will be a great ending to his character, maybe even becoming John Stewart. But much like Roy, he certainly should have a definitive ending regardless of if he will appear in Green Arrow and the Canaries or not. Number 3, 2, and 1 will have to do more with Arrow and Oliver Queen himself. Because he's the main focus of the show, he's by far the best character of the show. So there should be a lot more focus on him as a character in the series finale than the rest of Team Arrow. Now, this one doesn't necessarily have to do with Oliver himself. This one has to do with Arrow as a whole. But with this episode being a tribute to Arrow, which is what Mark Guggenheim said, I think that there should be at least one scene, and this is a scene that will be very, very difficult to do, but one scene where Oliver, as the Green Arrow or as the Spectre, if he's even alive at this point, we don't know if he is, but if he's still the Spectre, then he should, in a fight scene, have a fight with all 7 of the previous main villains. This, like I said, would be very, very difficult to pull off, not only because bringing back all of these actors could prove a little bit difficult, but also because, especially with Deathstroke, DC or Warner Brothers is not allowing them to use the character, only really just offshoots of the character like John Diggle Jr., which they use in the flash forwards, or Grant Wilson, and also Joe Wilson and things like that. Slade Wilson himself is not allowed. I'm pretty sure a way they went around this previously is that they just used him in a costume, never used him where Amanda Bennett appeared, which I think they can do. But honestly, I'm just really hoping Warner Brothers at least lets them use Deathstroke and Amanda Bennett as Slade Wilson for just this one episode, one final time. And while Slade is a good guy at this point, it still could be really, really cool to see Oliver just wipe out, probably as the Spectre, all of the previous main villains, all the villains that gave him the most strife and were the most difficult to defeat, just defeat them all easily since he's now the Spectre. Malcolm Merlyn, Slade Wilson, Rachel Gould, Damien Dark, Adrian Chase, Ricardo Diaz, and Amiko Queen, and that I think would be awesome. One of, if not my biggest problems with the flash forwards, especially in Season 7, was how it portrayed the future and how it portrayed the future as worse than the present day. As Star City is worse than ever, it made Oliver's Crusade completely obsolete. It made the show kind of meaningless, and I really, really don't like that. I think that what they are probably doing and what we should see is that the future, because of Oliver's Crusade, is way better off. The future is going to be a better Star City because Oliver's Crusade and Oliver's mission and just the first 8 seasons or the entirety of Arrow made Star City a better place, and that does seem like they are doing that, as in the Green Arrow and the Canaries episode synopsis, there is a little bit of a mention of Mia having everything she wanted, probably showing that Star City is better off in the future. But I think in also the series finale, they should show Green Arrow's lasting impact on Star City and how the city is now a better place due to Oliver's Crusade in the future, as we see in Star City, in Green Arrow and the Canaries, but also in this very episode and in the present day. So, number 1 has to do with Oliver Queen specifically. I don't really know what his role here will be. I don't know if he'll die in the crisis. I don't know if he will continue to be the Spectre, and it does seem like he will have a significant role, but will that be in flashback? Will it be in some sort of hallucination? I'm not sure, but one thing I do know probably is that there will be a funeral for Oliver Queen, because even though he might not die and he might continue as the Spectre, Oliver Queen as a human being is dead, and it does seem like either everyone thinks he's dead, or maybe that just they consider him dead because the Spectre is something else or someone else, and either way there will be a funeral for the character. And I think because of that, which if it happens in this series finale, then the funeral should have a lot of guests from across the Arrowverse, basically every single character he teams up with. And this, just like number 3, is something that's going to be really difficult because of bringing the actors back, and honestly I think that it is not only possible, but it is likely that that's what's going to happen, as Mark Guggenheim or Stephen Amell or somebody, I'm pretty sure, said that there's going to be a very insane scene in the crisis, something that was insanely difficult to bring together. I'm guessing that might have to do with the actors they have to bring back, and I think that it's possible that at Oliver's funeral, Barry Allen, Kara Danvers, Clark Kent, Ray Palmer, John Jones, Kate Kane, and all the other heroes that Oliver teamed up with and Oliver helped save in Crisis on Infinite Earths could all be at his funeral. I didn't say Sarah Lance because she's already confirmed to be in the episode, so that's probably going to happen either way, but I do think that all of these heroes should be at Oliver's funeral if it's something that happens in this series finale. because it would be really weird and it just wouldn't make any sense for Oliver to have this funeral and for them to have thrown this funeral for the Green Arrow who just sacrificed his life to save the multiverse, or at least it does seem like that might be happening. It'd be weird for them to do that and for all these heroes to not appear, especially one of his best friends, Barry Allen, and the other member of the Trinity, Kara Danvers, and also just all the other heroes that he has either worked with or has been close with in the past. It just wouldn't make any sense. And yes, there are things that just don't make any sense. You have to live with because of the restrictions, not only from Warner Brothers, but also the restrictions of live action because of, I guess, CGI budget, but also because of actors. But I think they should bring back as many actors as they can possibly get for a cameo in this series finale, just to appear in the funeral scene, and I think that it'd just be really, really weird if that didn't happen whatsoever. So those are the top 5 things that I want to see in Arrow's series finale. There's also the fact that I really would want it for Felicity to have as little screen time as possible while she does appear, because she is appearing, but I didn't want to talk about that at all in this video, so that's basically the top 5. Let me know what your top 5 is in the comments down below, and if you like this video, make sure to leave a like, share, and subscribe, and thanks for watching.